There we go. Do we have audio? We got sound. Great. Good stuff. Oh, this. Fuck, dude. It is March 14th, 2023, 12:21 a.m. This is an experiment, episode 41. Man. So anyway, it's been about a year since the last episode of this that I created. And as I go back and I look, basically no one has seen any of these videos. There's like a couple that have like one or two short views. But by and large, nothing's happened with this. And I realize now that I misspelled the the name of the channel. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Maybe sometime I'm gonna catch up on this. But right now I'm doing this more for my own good than anything else. One of the things that's been bothering me recently is I want to track stuff, right? I want to track stuff so that at some point in the future, when I accomplish the thing that I set out to accomplish, I can look back and be like, this is all of the stuff that I did in order to realize whatever the vision was. And one thing one tendency that I see to have happen is, well, I mean, of course, if I'm not tracking, if I'm not managing, then I'm also not doing, because there's no thing to kind of keep me on track other than myself. So there's that part of it, but also, I put so much bandwidth and mental processing power into certain activities that by the end of the day, when I go to recap everything that I did and track and all of that kind of stuff, I just I don't have any energy left to do that. And as I say that right now, I hadn't exactly thought of it in this way until literally just now. But if the problem is that I'm not tracking stuff because I don't have energy at the end of the day to track everything, well, what if that's the first thing that I do the next day? The first thing that I do in the morning is track everything that was done the day before. But, one of the, potential problems with that is that by the time I wake up the next morning, I forget what I did. So I suppose the remedy for that is to make brief notes, have like a log of what I'm doing, and then put it into actual form later on. And also, so I mean, that's kind of one of the things that has been getting at me. The other thing is that, with the path that I'm on, the trajectory, I mean, on the one hand, I feel like things are going like drastically different than I envisioned, but at the same time, I'm not necessarily mad about it. So basically, I decided that I was going to go back towards doing music and audio and sound full time, abandon the marketing and sales and commissions. I mean, ultimately, I was chasing money, which, is reasonable enough. But I had a job that I was working, and it fell through, and I get, sent back. And so my first initial impulse was to fill the void, right? Get a new sales position, or the closest thing to sales that I can get. And then I decided I was going to actually leave that loop open for a little bit, just let the void exist, and just kind of let myself exist and be, and kind of see what calls to me. And it was really uncomfortable at the beginning, because, every sense and impulse and common sense thing would be like, okay, you just lost your job, you should immediately start applying for new ones. But I didn't do that, which is very counterintuitive. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to apply for any positions. I'm going to see if I can get my own thing started. So I'm going to give myself a week, see if I can sell some sort of product or service to cash flow my own thing. And if that doesn't work out, then I'll go from there. Didn't work out, which is fine. And so I went from there. And during that week, I kept finding myself, like, the thing that I kept going back to over and over again was just making music and playing piano, singing, and just enjoying music. And as I, reflect on, the points in my life when I really felt like I was on top of my game and the magic was flowing, as it were, it was when I was heavily involved with music and sound and audio and all of that stuff. Like, that's it was during those times that I felt like the most on top of myself. Didn't matter what it was. Um uh Going on, didn't matter what was going on in life. That's when I felt most on top of my game, in the most empowered version of myself, and all of that. And so I decided to completely abandon the pathway that I was on and go back to doing music and audio, because it's what I do best in an industry that I know how to navigate and all that kind of stuff. Um, so I reached back out to someone that runs a production company that I've been in contact with back in the fall. And I reached out to him, was basically like, hey, I'm looking to get back into running sound full time. Uh, so if there's, any gigs, I'd love to revisit this and see, where I might be able to fit in on the team. Had a call, did an interview, got placed on a couple gigs, and now it's accelerating really quick. Like, I'm getting big gigs, I'm making really good money, all things considered, uh, or at least for like what the job is, and all of that kind of stuff. Um, I mean, you can't shake a fist at $45 an hour. I don't care who you are. It's not, it's a good wage. Um, so yeah, it just kind of like worked out. And the whole kind of thing, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to do more of these with this topic, but at first it's been a constantly evolving journey. And honestly, I'm only about a month into it when I really think about it. But the bigger vision is to, be a producer, be a DJ, play at festivals, and all of that kind of stuff. That's what the bigger thing is. But what I also know, I feel like this like camera angle is fucking shit for me. What if I do this? I didn't do anything. Well, it is what it is, I suppose. Um, at any rate, uh, the whole point of getting back into production wasn't to, become, globe-trotting sound engineer. It was to bankroll everything else. Because, I mean, essentially, even when I was doing the sales stuff, uh, the idea was make enough money doing that so I can fund making music, right? At the end of the day, the job that I work is designed to fund a life where I can make music and ideally get to the point where that is my life, is I can just make music. And so it so based on like all of the things that I took into consideration, I was like, so let's, get back in a live production. make some money, stabilize my income, put some money in the bank, um, actually stop, living paycheck to paycheck for a change, because I'd been stuck in that for a while. Not just paycheck to paycheck, but not even making expenses some months. Like but I got back into the music and audio world, and it's like everything has just happened like magic. Everything just started working out. So it's like, okay, I'm on the right path with this. Um, but the a month ago, I was like all gung ho, build out a social media following and produce music and start mixing stuff. Oh fuck. Do mixing projects to fill in the gaps when I'm not getting work through production. And so this was supposed to be, kind of like just taking freelance projects on so that I can um, do more of the stuff that I really want to do, which is um, make music. But as it's turned out, I've kind of put myself into a bit of a job again, so to say. I mean, not so much freelance, but um, I'm using a lot of time and mental resources to learn specific sets of knowledge and skill to apply to my role within this production company doing sound. um, and and one of the drives behind that is that I want to be the most knowledgeable, most proficient person on the team, to get sent out on all of the big gigs for the with the massive PA. So I've been putting a lot of resources into that, like a lot of mental and time-based resources. So the thing that I'm sacrificing in the process of doing that is spending time, either trying to work on projects for music production, not live event production, but like my own music creation, doing mix projects, creating content, and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not able to do all of that because I'm putting so much of my resources into this job that I'm building for myself. And it's funny because Nick Peterson talks about this, how we get one thing because it removes us from the thing that we don't want, but then we end up turning it into the thing that we don't want anyway. um so what I mean by that is I want to do freelance work. um it's like I want this audio position so I can do work as a freelancer, so that I have time flexibility and I can say I want gigs when I do and when I don't. um but then I start putting all this work to become the most knowledgeable person, so when they need to bring someone up the chain and say, hey, we need a project manager or whatever, because I'm the most knowledgeable, most proficient, most experienced person on the team, I become the obvious choice to do that. Congratulations, David, you have a job again. And it's like, you said it was gonna happen. It's like I want it because it's freelance, so I don't have to like commit to the job. But then what I end up doing is all of the work that creates a job for me, and there's a certain amount of irony to it. Um, so, but man, and the thing is, all the stuff that I'm learning about this specific PA system, and how to tune it and all of that, it's incredibly helpful for a career in pro audio and being able to apply these same principles to um, other audio domains. But if the long-term goal for me is not to be a career audio engineer, but to be a career musician or a career, producer or a career studio engineer, something like that, then eventually all of this effort that I'm putting into understanding the system is going to be for nothing. But on the other hand, if I don't do it, nobody else will. Like if I don't learn the system, nobody else is doing it. Nobody else is going and watching the webinars on how to operate this PA system. Nobody's reading the operator's manuals of how this stuff works. Nobody's diving into the tech specs to make sure that when they deploy this system, they do it right. I am, right? And part of it is just because I want to make sure that the job gets done right. And if it doesn't get done right, I don't want anyone coming back to me and being like, hey, this sucked. What the fuck, David? Because one of the things that I pride myself on is knowing what the fuck I'm talking about. And if I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, I figure it the fuck out really fucking quick. So nobody finds out that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm gonna sit in that for a second. I forgot what I said that made me sink in and sit in that. Oh, knowing what the fuck I'm talking about is, one of the things that has been bouncing around my brain and my mind is, you know, this kind of like idea of like being unhireable, or not, unemployable. It's like you can't, and not in one basically wanting to be my own boss, live on my own timeline, and all that kind of stuff. Or at least that's the way I like to describe it. And I think one of the things that I really want, I say that, but what I really want is authority to make decisions um, that impact an organization on a higher level. I want to be the expert, is what I want. I really want to be the expert, and the person that says, this is what we need to do. This is why we need to do it. This is how we can get it done. So let's get it done. Period. And then have someone listen to that and say, you know what? You're right. We do need to do this. It makes sense. Great call. Let's get it done. That's what I really want. Is to that's what I really want. And to not have it be easily discarded. And I get that from this position. Like the number of times that I've talked to Jerry after starting this, and be like, hey Jerry, I think we need to do this. I think we need this. Let's do that. He's like, okay, great, let's do it. And then it actually gets done. I remember when I was doing sales with Willpower Marketing, and he was like, hey, if you have any feedback, anything like that, stuff that needs to, or whatever, let me know. I was like, okay, cool. And I would say stuff. He'd be like, oh, that's a great idea. But nothing ever got done about it. It was just kind of like, oh, that's a great idea. We should do that. And nothing ever happened. I mean, today, I know no one's ever used the calibration tuning system, the measurement for the PA, much less put a measurement mic on it. And so I started saying, no, we need to tune this PA properly. We need to use the measurement system that's built into the software, and we need an RTA mic for it. Today I sent a message. I was like, hey, we weren't able to find that RTA mic. Here's a link to a really good one. 5 minutes later, I get a message back, just purchased it. It'll be here tomorrow. done. Like the other day I was in the shop playing with the two audio consoles and trying to organize the output mapping for this stuff, and my boss was like, "Hey, if we need another stage box to make this happen, just let me know and I'll buy it." It's like, okay. Then last week I was like, well, the best way to do this type of show with the thing is to, run, tandem audio consoles uh, for this, and instead of doing like a stage split with two different manufacturers. And he went out and he bought a 4,000, like he just dropped, okay, let's get a new audio console. I mean, we need it for more shows coming up anyway. But at any rate, I'm like, this is the best way to do it. And then it gets done. So it's feeling valued in that capacity, I think, is one thing that's more important. And to feel like the decisions that the things that I think should happen, that it actually happens and it gets done. And when you're with a company that doesn't do that kind of stuff, I'm like, the fuck? Like, it's like, it's like, what's the point, right? What's the point of making recommendations when nothing ever actually gets done? And then put in a situation where I'm working for, a company that actually does that, where I'm like, hey, I think we should do this. And then it gets done. Hey, this would be a better way of doing it. Okay, it gets done. No pushback. It's what I have to say is actually valued. So it's really great for me. And I think that's like why I have such resistance to so many employment scenarios, is because it's like too mundane for me. And I think part of it is like I really don't want to be in the same place for too long, and I don't want consistency in where I am and what I'm doing. I don't want that. It's like routine is boring. And so, going to, having like last weekend when I had 3 long days on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I did like 35 hours over the course of 3 days. And then then I didn't have to work, Sunday or Monday. And then I had a gig at one place on Thursday and Wednesday and Thursday, racked up some hours. Then I was off for the weekend, kind of, even though I ended up doing, other work. Wasn't any gigs, but it was work with dialing in some of this, PA stuff to get ready for this big gig coming up in a week, where I'm going to be teching the system for Skid Row and Buck Cherry. And I mean, those aren't like small names. I mean, they're maybe not huge or as big as they once were, but still, it's not like, it's not your uncle's basement show or whatever. It's, it's decent, decent of, size event, decent notoriety. And so to kind of bring some of this back, I'd started on this trajectory, where all I really wanted to do was use this production side of things to make money, to cash flow, so I could start doing my own music and that whole kind of thing. But as it turns out, I don't know, maybe there's another better opportunity or whatever, or I don't know, and one of the things that I've been finding in myself, is there's a lot of, there's a strong impulse to judge myself for not doing all of the things that I said I was going to do, in regards to building up momentum for this music and production and being a DJ and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not like putting in the work for that. uh, I'm putting in all of the work for this production thing, which was really not meant to serve that. The whole thing was, it's like, okay, I get these production gigs, I go and I do the gig, and then when I'm not doing the gig, then I can just, um, work on my stuff. And so it's like, I'm like, oh, I started documenting it, and I was like, I'm going to document all of this stuff. And then I got super busy with all this work for the production company. And so not only have I not been documenting the stuff, I haven't really been doing it anyway. So it's not like there's anything for me to document because I'm not doing the stuff that I said I was going to do. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm such a, blah, 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 or whatever. But I'm also like distorting my perception of time and how long it actually takes for me to accomplish the things that need to happen. Because when we look at priorities, like one of the biggest priorities right now is to actually cash flow all of my expenses and build cash flow all of my expenses, pay off some debt, and kind of like get out from under that, and all that kind of stuff. And it's maybe what needs to happen, whether I like it or not, is focus on really building a solid foundation with this opportunity, so that maybe if I'm not actively working on the DJ and production stuff, that's okay, because um, because first things first, I have to get things sorted financially. And then what bounces around in my head is like, yes, but can I do that without, you know, putting in extra? Because basically that's what I've been doing, is I've been putting in extra work for some of this production stuff, that isn't necessarily required. Um, but I also know that if I didn't do it, I would be in a very compromised position down the road. Like I spent a solid, 3 hours. I spent a solid 10 hours total over the weekend working with these mix consoles to get the routing and the programming set up so that everything works the way it's supposed to. And if I'd waited, if I didn't take the initiative to do that over the weekend, then we would have gotten on site on Thursday trying to get these consoles to work, and like they would to like 10 hours to do that. No, we got bigger fish to fry. Now I wanted to make sure that it actually works, that when I say, yes, this will work, when we get there, it actually works. Because the thing is, when I went to actually test, it'd be like, it should work if we do this. Well, I went and I tested it, and it was like, it doesn't quite work the way that I thought it would. So now I have to figure out how to make it work, and I don't know how this thing works. And so I have to understand how this thing works to get it to work with that thing. And just a lot of like trial and error and like dicking around with shit. And it's like all of that time, all of that mental energy, and all of that like could have been used to just make music, to do mixes, great content. Today I've spent probably 5 hours watching webinars with this PA system to better understand it and the software and how to use it and all that kind of stuff. I don't even know how much of it I retained, to be honest, but it's kind of like this confusion of like, what is it that I really want, and what role do I want it to serve in my life, and what's the practical time frame to accomplish that, and all those things. And I think one of the things that I really want to do is try to be like, this is the top priority, and this is the thing, and I'm not doing this, and I should be doing that, or I need to find. No, I don't. I don't need to. It's been 1 month. One month since I decided to get back on this path. Maybe a little bit over a month. And I'm still figuring it out, and I'm learning about myself in this process. If I go back and I look, I mean, my first my first gig was, my first gig was the 18th of February. It is the 13th of March. So it's been 3 weeks. It hasn't even been a month since I took this first gig. Hasn't even been a month, and I'm trying to like put everything in a box and in a category and be like, this is what this is and what it means and the order and the importance and all that kind of stuff. And I don't even I'm still figuring out where I'm even at with all of this stuff, because for the previous year and a half, it'd been all about marketing, sales, coaching, and living in that whole world. Yawning. I have this theory that when you start yawning when you're talking about something, it's because there's a part of you that doesn't want to talk about it subconsciously. So, but yeah, I removed myself from the audio trajectory for a substantial period of time. 2020, I mean, it was like solid 2 years, 3 years, solid 3 years that 2020 to 2021, 2021, 2022, 2022, 2023, solid 3 years. Because I would say that I left my audio trajectory when COVID happened. And now 3 years later, I mean, even last year, back, I got back into doing it. Even at that time, it was a solution to a problem. I wasn't making enough money. So, I went somewhere else and went back to school. Was doing sales, decided, nope, this isn't for me. Got back on my audio trajectory. Everything just started flowing. So I'm where I'm supposed to be. And sometimes you got to do all of the other stuff to be like, you know what? It's not where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be. For now. And I kind of have to just be okay with that. I think that's part of it. Is just becoming okay with where I'm at. Being okay with where I'm at. Not that I'm not okay with it, but really coming to the understanding of who I am, and what my identity is as I re-enter this, this reality of music and audio as career, because I'm a different person now than I was when I left it 3 years ago. Significantly different person. And it's like, it's completely new, and and I just have to understand who I am within the context of this career trajectory. And there's this strong desire to want to be like, okay, this is what could happen, this is where I can be, and all that kind of stuff. But I don't even know if I really know what I really want. I don't even know if I really know what I want. There's what I think I want, but I don't know. I don't know. So I think I have to be okay with just figuring that out first. You can't create the most efficient path forward if you don't know exactly where you're at. And if someone asks me if I know exactly where I'm at in life and my, pathway to the things that I want, somebody asks where I'm at, I honestly don't know. I'm still getting my bearings. So, knowing that, it would be irresponsible of me to say that I need to do XYZ to get to, ideal future reality, and be like, this, the most efficient way for me to accomplish goal is by doing XYZ. Well, I don't even know where I'm at. So how would it be reasonable to say that that's the most efficient way possible? It's not. I need to figure out where I am first, and that's okay. That's what part of this is. And sometimes like documenting stuff is really cumbersome. At the end of the day, it's like I just want to like talk about some of this stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at. I need to do more of these. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off for the night. It is March 14th, 12:59 a.m. This is an experiment, episode 41. Peace out, Girl Scout.